Hi, I'm Jessica Norman. My premier testimony really starts about 2007. 2007, I had a perfect little family of four. I was married to my childhood sweetheart, Martin, and we had Caleb, who was 2, and Lexi was 8. Sort of towards the end of 2007, I started having some odd symptoms, mostly in the fact that my left side was going numb. And it happened a little gradual. It was my foot, and then my leg, and then my hand, and my arm, and then my face. I bounced around from doctor to doctor. I think a lot of doctors were thinking that I might have been a drug seeker or something and just doctor shopping because I went to several doctors. But finally one day I was at work and I was behind my desk, behind the computer. My boss walked in and she freaked out. Apparently I had drooled all down the left side of my face and I had no clue. Well, I worked some serious ways because my mom had just gotten a job managing a bunch of doctors in our local hospital. So my boss called my mom. Long story short, I was in the hospital getting MRIs and CAT scans in just a few hours. Later that night, the doctor came in and said what probably no one ever wants to hear. He said, "You have a lesion on your brain." Or, more simply put, you have a brain tumor. It was pretty serious. I couldn't even stay here at our local hospital. So at 10, 11 o'clock at night, I had to be rushed up to Atlanta, which is about 3 hours away from us. It was kind of an emergent situation. Remember, my kids were 2 and 8. So one morning, I took my son to daycare and put my daughter on the bus, and then that same day, I was rushed up to a hospital miles and miles away. The prognosis was pretty grim. The location where the brain tumor was mostly on my brainstem and on the lower part of my brain called the cerebellum. Well, the brain surgeon came in, really a grim guy, like really, really grim. But when he came in the room, he had no good news for us at all. He told us that chances were I would never walk again, probably not talk again. Those little activities of daily living, they call them, like brushing your teeth or eating, putting on makeup, that kind of thing. He said chances were I wouldn't do that kind of stuff. He was also concerned that I might end up on a ventilator. Your brainstem kind of controls your respiration, so they were concerned that I'd have a hard time breathing. And at the ripe old age of 24, we had to find a nursing home to take me in after the surgery. I don't know how much you know about nursing home placement. We didn't know a thing, but not very many want to take a 24-year-old. So the only one we could find close to us was still 45 minutes away. It's 45 minutes away from my babies and my husband and my mama. So anyways, I underwent the brain surgery, and that doctor was right. When I came out, I couldn't walk. I had a hard time speaking. Definitely couldn't feed myself. He was totally right that my coordination was way off. However, I had such a calm. I've been raised in church, so I have always heard that scripture about the peace that passes all understanding. I never really knew what that meant until I had to know what it meant. And that peace that passes all understanding, it made no sense for me to feel so calm and so at peace, but I did. I knew that, God loved me and He created me, brain tumor and all, and so I was going to be okay. Now, I don't think my husband or my mom felt peace. I think that they were both a little concerned and maybe even frantic. But I underwent this surgery. It was like, I don't know, something crazy, 17, 19 hours or something. And when I came out, had all those difficulties, like I mentioned, couldn't walk, had a hard time talking. But I was able to go home right in time for Christmas, and that was important to me with babies, small children. So I came home, And I underwent 17 long, grueling months of every therapy you could think of. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And I was just determined that I was 24. I was too going to walk again. And I was going to talk again. And I was going to brush my own teeth. So I went through the 17 months of therapy. But some things started happening that I guess maybe I wasn't aware of prior. And some of those things were like my hair started to grow back. And so that used to frustrate me because once my hair grew back, then people just kind of thought I should be normal, and I wasn't normal. Other things that kind of took some getting used to. When they did surgery, they removed the bulk of the tumor. So I literally have a hole, a really pretty little hole in my brain. But some of the tumor is still there in the brainstem. So what happens with that hole is it likes to fill up with fluid. And when that happens, that causes pressure. And that pressure causes headaches. I had never really had a headache before. Not one to really speak of. And so this was something quite new for me. Things like being outside in the sunlight used to really, really bother me. I'm still a little light sensitive, but for a long time I just couldn't stand it. So our house was like a dungeon. It was very dark in our house. Other things was sound, noise. Sorry. My 2-year-old and 8-year-old would be laughing and want to talk, and what kind of mother doesn't want to hear that? But I didn't, because it hurt. It felt like somebody was shoving an ice pick into my brain every time they would laugh or start shrieking or something. Other things, like my husband is extremely active. I'm married to a marathon man. He runs marathons and lives the outdoors. And I just can't hang. I don't have the endurance or the balance and the stamina. I just can't do it. Another thing that really was hard was I wasn't the same. I would look in the mirror and not even know who was looking back. I've since talked to other people that have survived cancer or traumatic injuries, and their personality changes a whole lot. It's very true. I used to be bubbly and outgoing and fun. I was the kind of person that when I walked in a room, everybody knew I was there. Maybe I was obnoxious, I don't know. But in place of that person was a very quiet, uncertain, scared, nervous, stuttery girl, or young lady, I should say. And that was hard. Sometimes my mom talks about how she mourned the loss of her daughter. She was worried that I would never come back. And in some sense, I didn't. A new person came back. So the result of all these changes were that I went into a very deep depression. Now, I didn't know anything about depression. We had never talked about depression in my family. So we didn't really know what was going on for a while. We just knew that I stopped answering the telephone, and I started blowing off all of my friends and family. You know, stopped going to birthday parties and graduations and weddings and things that were a little out of character for me. I stopped living, really, and I got angry with God. Now, I'm sure nobody else has ever been angry at God, but I was. I felt like, God, you spared my life just to let me live like this, you know? So kind of like the children of Israel, like I had walked through that Red Sea and instantly started grumbling. And that's exactly what I did. So I stopped going to church, stopped reading my Bible, didn't even want to hear about God. And for about 2 years, I just lived in the dark. We had to be quiet at the house because, remember, noises really hurt my head. It was miserable. One Saturday, my husband came in our bedroom and he said, "Jess, this isn't fair, and the kids and I can't live like this any longer. Something has to give." And God's just so mysterious, because that exact same day that he gave me that ultimatum, he walked in the room with an invitation to a jewelry party. Now, this invitation came from a friend that I had pretty much ignored for 2.5 years. The thought that she would think to invite me to anything, that I would even come, was baffling. But I was petrified because Martin, my husband, didn't give me a choice. I was going to go to that jewelry party. He felt like it'd be a good thing for me to get up and take a bath, because it'd probably been a week since I had done that, and to get dressed and to go and be around people. And so I was so nervous. I had one thing that happens with medications is side effects. And so at that particular time, a medicine that I was on had rapidly caused me to gain weight. So it was so rapid that I literally had no clothes that fit me. So I was wearing my husband's t-shirt and sweatpants. Also, that medication was causing my hair to once again fall out, so you could see my scalp. So basically, I had zero self-esteem, absolutely none. And here I was going to go around all my beautiful friends and see a jewelry party. So I went to the jewelry party, and when I walked in, instantly everyone just was so happy to see me, and they were hugging me, and everybody was smiling and laughing, and the jewelry lady was putting jewelry around my neck and telling me how pretty it looked. And when you hear something long enough, you kind of start to believe it. And so I thought, well, I might not be that bad. They all act like I'm okay. So I had a great time. It was the first time in years that I could feel loved and accepted. And the jewelry lady swears that she never said it, but all I could hear was, "You are perfectly and wonderfully made." So she did her little booking game, and I don't know, something took over my body, because I grabbed a purse and said I was going to have a show. And that was not me. When I got in the car to go home, I called my husband, and I was freaking out, because I said, "Oh my gosh, I agreed to have a party, and I have to, because this sweet lady gave me this cute little coin purse and a tennis bracelet for saying I would." But he calmed me down, and the jewelry lady told me I could go to a restaurant, so I did. And once again went to the restaurant and had so much fun. And I don't know what happened. It was even over, I said, "You know what? I want to do this." I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't know anything about direct sales. I just knew that I needed a reason to take a bath every day. And I knew that the friends and the other women and the happiness, I knew that I liked that feeling and I needed that. And so what I know is that God threw me out a life vest. I kid around and say now that, hey, if God can speak through a burning bush or a donkey, he can speak through jewelry. And he definitely spoke to me. About 6 months after I had been a jewelry lady, my husband came to me one day and said, "There she is. That is the Jess that I fell in love with." I've since been doing this for going on 3 years and love it and take a bath every day. Hooray! But I'll just say this. We have an honor and a privilege to speak to women who could be just like I was, that they need to know that God still loves them. And we get to share a hope with people all across America. and I'm proud to be a part of that. Thanks.